Hey everyone, happy almost New Year! Today is New Year's Eve and we're getting ready to jump into 2018. I'm super excited for all the amazing books that are coming out next year. But since we are at the end of 2017 and everyone's going to be counting down tonight, I'm going to do a countdown of the top 10 books that I loved of 2017. So I'm going to start off with, unfortunately, a tie for number 10. And that is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds and Ashley Poston's Geekerella. Geekerella is a modern retelling of Cinderella about Elle, who wants to go to the Comic-Con ball, and it is absolutely wonderful. I just recorded a vlog on this about 2 weeks ago, and that is the most recent vlog before this one. So if you want to check more out about Geekerella, that's where you can go. Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds is about a boy whose brother was just shot, and he's on his way to shoot the person who shot his brother. And on the elevator ride down, he meets people who have been affected by gun violence or who will be affected if he goes through with it. The entire book takes place in less than a minute as he rides the elevator down, and it is a beautiful novel in verse. So it won't take too much time to read. I read it in one sitting. It is absolutely wonderful. I think it's Jason Reynolds' best work. It goes really well alongside Nick Stone's Dear Martin and Angie Thomas's The Hate You Give. Okay, number 9 is Renee Audier's Flame in the Mist. It is absolutely wonderful. This is another retelling. This one is based on Mulan. It is about a princess who doesn't want to just be someone that can be traded for politics and to bring her family more in their world. So when she is attacked and meant to be killed, she goes off and takes this opportunity to learn about samurais, and she learns about Japanese mythology and gangs and so much more. And we also get a peek into the life of geishas. So it was so cool. The world building is just amazing. I felt like I was actually in Japan learning about all this. It was really, really good. Renee Audier gave out the arcs of these. So this is the advanced reader copy. And I got it at Texas Library Association's annual conference in April. And I also got it signed by her. So it was really, really cool. Okay, number 8 is the super special book that I stocked because I found out the author was signing copies in like a Barnes & Noble of Pennsylvania, and I had them send me a copy that was signed for me. And that is Sarah J. Maas' A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is part of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And this installment, we follow Feyre and Rysand as they have to band together with all the other courts. And they are in the Night Court, or as we know them, the Court of Dreams. And they have to save the world, including the human and mortal world, from a force that wants to destroy the entire world. And so we get to meet new monsters we haven't met before. We say goodbye to some old monsters. And of course, there's that heart-wrenching ending that was just like, oh, I can't. Cried like a baby over it, but it was absolutely beautiful and wonderfully written. She's the same author as the Throne of Glass series. So if you like that, this is a really good series to pick up. Number 7, I kind of cheated when I read this one. I listened to it on the way to TLA this past year. And then when I wasn't in my car, I read the actual book. So I went back and forth. And I honestly think that the audiobook was almost better than reading the book because you hear both sides of the story. And it was just amazingly well read. And I got to actually tell the author that. And that is Veronica Roth's Carve the Mark. It is a story of Akos and Syra. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet story, but not quite. But their families do hate each other, and Akos was actually sent to kill Syra. She is the princess of a planet where her brother is the ruler, and he uses her as a weapon because if she touches you, then you will feel the most intense pain of your life and possibly die from it. And they end up having to work together because when Akos is caught, Syra's brother makes him become Syra's protector. And so it's a really, really good. I loved the diversity in it because you hear about these 2 different cultures that end up having to come and work together. Next, number 6 is Nick Stone's Dear Martin. I have a vlog on this from a couple months ago. It is about justice and how he is a really good kid. He gets really good grades. He wants to go to an Ivy League college. And then in the beginning of the book, he gets arrested for something that he wasn't actually doing. It's another one that goes along with gun violence. He loses a friend after he's shot. in an altercation that, again, wasn't really either of their faults. And so he wants to move on and wants to help people not get in the same situation. Next is number 5 is Jennifer Matthews' Moxie. I really, really loved this one. Can you tell I kind of like the stories where a big change is having to be made? Moxie is a story of Vivian, and she lives in Rockport in Texas. And she learns, and doesn't really learn, but she notices that the boys at her school are being really arrogant and sexist and making really nasty comments towards the girls, and no one ever does anything about it. And so Vivian decides that that's enough. Like, this isn't okay. And so she starts a zine. And in her zine, she says, if you feel the same way I do and you are tired of being treated this way, then let's support each other by drawing stars and hearts on our hands and just let each other know that there's other people who feel the same way. And they end up doing an awesome job of bringing all the girls together in the school and working together to get this wrong righted. And it's awesome. I loved it. Next is number 4, and that is Ryan Groudon's Invictus. This is a time travel book for people who don't know anything about time travel. So normally when you hear time travel, you're like, oh, another time travel book. But no, it doesn't rely solely on the time traveling. Invictus is the name of the ship, and the book is about the crew and the heists that they go on. So they go back in time to steal artifacts and bring them back to the present to sell them. But in this one certain heist, they meet someone who can just ruin their entire lives altogether. If you are someone who doesn't totally understand time travel, it's okay, because Ryan Groudon did an amazing job of helping you understand while you read it. So even if you're not a sci-fi person, you will still love Invictus. And there's a red panda in it. How can you not love it? All right. Number 3. It was really, really hard to pick my top 3 and not make them all number 1 because they're all amazing, but I did what I could. So number 3 is Marie Lu's Warcross. I loved it. Oh my God. It was just amazing. It is kind of about a video game in the future with all kinds of things going on. Our main character, Emeka Chen, is a bounty hunter who ends up being thrust into this world game of Warcross where the entire world plays. And it was awesome because Marie Lu worked in the video game industry before she became a YA writer. And so she knows what she's talking about in it. And there's a lot of allusions to other video games out there. And I loved it as someone who played those video games in the past. This is a signed copy. I also have an ARC that I got from TLA, and it's just loved very much. So I had to get the real book so that it's not in the same tatteriness. I don't know if that's a word. Tatters? Either way. Warcross. So number 2, I do not have an actual copy of because I read it from a library checkout. But that is Svetlana Chmakova's Brave. It's a graphic novel in the same series as Awkward, and it is about a boy who's bullied but doesn't understand what bullying is or what's going on until he learns more about bullying. And it's really sad because you see him go through the whole process of being a bullying victim, but he learns how to deal and how to speak up for himself. And it was really, really great. I think it's something we all need to read right now. And number 1 is Angie Thomas's The Hate You Give. Yes. So honestly, this could have been tied with Warcross for number 1, but I think that because of the importance of The Hate You Give is why I gave it number 1. If you haven't read it, you need to. It's a story of Star Carter, whose best friend was shot by a police officer in front of her, and she's the only one who knows what actually happened that night. She has to learn how to use her voice and how to speak up for what's right, or she has to stay quiet and keep herself safe. So it is absolutely amazing. It is wonderfully written. Angie Thomas has gotten so much hype and deserves every second of it. It is absolutely wonderful. Go read it. Happy New Year, everybody. Have a great night.